My next guest made a name for himself in feature films like Born in East LA and Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. Most recently, we've seen him on the big screen in the live-action Mulan. I love so much. And now he's starring in the reimagined Doogie Howser reboot, Doogie Kameāloha, MD, on Disney+. Joining us from Hawaii, please welcome Jason Scott Lee to the show. Listen, Jason, you're in front of your bookcase, but you're actually on your farm right now. You have a sustainable farm. How did this start? I'm so intrigued by this risk that you took in your life.
Oh, it happened. It started 25 years ago. I was inspired by some of the projects, the film projects I had been on. One was Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. Another one was a film called Rapa Nui with Kevin Costner's company. And, I working on Easter Island for the film Rapa Nui, there was a lot of, the local people were very simple, but they were very happy. And they had really nothing. There wasn't a whole lot of materialism at the time when we were filming there in the 90s. And I just fed off that. And I wanted to, kind of go into being self-sustainable, going into, sort of this idea of subsistence living. And so it's kind of what I've been doing for the last 25 years. Wow. It's gone through different incarnations and different periods. My family and I moved away from the farm for about 6 years to live in Singapore for about 4 years and about 2 years in San Diego. And I was to get our first daughter. My wife, who is from Singapore, wanted her to speak Mandarin, and there wasn't any programs here on the Big Island in Hawaii. So with the support of her family back in Singapore, we went there, and it was a wonderful experience, living in an Asian country and really getting a sense of what that's about.
Well, it's interesting you bring up your children. You and your wife, Diana, you have 3 children. And as you were explaining these different risks that you've taken in your life, is it so that they can grow up to be people who take risks to get that reward, so that they are not people who live in fear of trying? Is that the example?
Yeah, a lot of it is if you can be independently sustainable. In a situation like we've had recently with pandemic and there's a large, long food lines and things, you don't have that fear of not having something. You don't have resources. And I think when we were in San Diego and the pandemic hit, one of the big fears I had was like, I turned to Diana, I said, we don't have any resources here. It's like, back home, back where we were from, we have the land, we have a rainwater catchment, we have our own water supply. We have all these things that, we wouldn't have to be in a panic if something shut down. So that's kind of like, we flipped it and went, okay, let's resurrect the farm again.
That's incredible, because the rest of us were stocking up on toilet paper. And you did, and you're like, listen, we're going to go back to the farm and we're going to be our own sustainability, I guess, circle. Let me ask you, I know you've said you see the farm in your children. What do you mean by that?
Well, there's so many lessons, and not just the lesson of being free of the fear, but the lessons that incorporate sensitivity and awareness. And I think that philosophy came through my martial arts training. And it sort of manifested on the farm. Wow. It's that sense that when you take care of the land, it takes care of yourself. And many indigenous cultures, kind of repeat that. Yeah. And it's a way of giving back to the thing that feeds you. Wow. So I think that philosophy, if they can carry that with them, it's like, it's also being in relationship with people. If you can give to people, that return of what you give, returns comes back to you.
That's beautiful.
in whatever fashion. If you give out, rubbish things, you're going to get rubbish back. If
That's
you give
right.
out good things, it's going to have good things come back. So
That
it's
is
very
so
simple
true.
philosophy, but it's the way to practice it daily where it becomes ingrained in you, where it's not a, a fake thing.
How was it to go back, into the Hollywood world after taking this risk? I mean, do you keep one foot in the sustainable farm and then one foot in Tinseltown, as they call it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think it's been that way for many, many years now for my career. I try to do the quality projects that I like to. But like I think many actors know, it's like most of the time you're waiting for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
So in between that time, what are you sustaining yourself with? I mean, really sustaining your spirit and your ethos and all these things. So it's up to us to make that call.
Well, part of the reward of your risk is that you got Doogie Kameāloha, and it's basically filmed in your backyard. So you didn't even have to go to LA. It's right there in your backyard. That's a big reward.
That's a huge reward, and it's one of the main reasons why I took the job, and we're on a different island from where we film, but you take a short plane ride, a 40-minute plane ride, and you're in Honolulu, and the kids get to experience a little bit of the city,
Oh.
and I get to go to work, and it's not a whole lot of time taken away from the farm, so we can still monitor things from there. So it's a lovely setup.
How special is this reimagined version of Doogie as this family, the Kamealohas? I mean, what did it mean to bring this version back to TV for families to watch?
I think it's a very cool update because it's a diverse family with diverse ethnic backgrounds, and the kids are mixed race, and they're Americans living in Hawaii, which, as everyone knows, Hawaii has its own kind of subculture and culture and local thing, and it gives so much flavor and so much nuance to the reboot or reimagining of Doogie Howser. And I think it's refreshing. And it's very refreshing to have a young female lead in playing the young genius.
I love it. Well, congratulations on taking the risk and getting great rewards in return.